Your Honor. Mr. Shepard, am I correct?
Yes.
So, will you tell the court, when is the last year you became the deceased roommate?
1988.
So, it has been like 21 years, am I right?
Approximately 20 years and 9 months to be exact.
Okay. So, you have mentioned just now that Mr. Kent was involved in a near-death incident during your college time. So, meaning that this habit will put a person in a very dangerous position. Am I correct?
Yes.
So, for these 20 years and 9 months to be exact, did the victim involved in any treachery because of this habit?
I'm not sure.
Please answer my question. Yes or no?
I'm not sure. Yes, been about
You are
21
not
years
sure.
for God's sake.
Okay. You are not sure.
Yes.
Another question, Mr. Chadwick. Is that the late Mr. Kent still continue this habit? Yes or no?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure again.
Yes, I'm not sure.
Okay, Mr. Chadwick. Do you know Gina Queen?
Yes, I do know her.
Do you like her?
Sorry?
Do you like her?
Yeah, as a friend, I do like her.
Could you describe the relationship between the deceased and the defendant?
Well, they were a very close couple, and from what I can see, Ralph liked her so much.
What do you mean by like? Is that the same as you like Gina Queen?
Objection, Your Honor. This question is irrelevant to the case. The case is wasting court's time.
Your Honor, it's important to clarify the relationship between the late Mr. Kent and the defendant.
Objection overruled. Witness, please answer the question.
Sorry. So, is it the same as you like Gina Queen?
I like her as a friend, but Mr. Ralphkin maybe like her more than just a friend.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Members of jury, it has been about 21 years since Mr. Cheverly became the deceased roommate. And she is not sure that whether Mr. Kane still continue this habit. My dear juries, from the witness testimony, we can prove that this habit can put a person in a very dangerous position and even cause death. However, for these 20 years and 9 months to be exact, Mr. Cheverly, the so-called best friend, who still keep in touch with Mr. Kane, didn't know anything about whether Mr. Kane still involved in any treachery. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure. Maybe that's how the witness answered most of the question. So, members of jury, how credible it could be. Your Honor, I do not.
Defense lawyer, do you have any more witnesses to bring in?
No, Your Honor.
And you may commence with your closing address.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, first, I would like to thank you for your participation and your patience in the dispensing of justice in this court. It is never easy for the layman to sit through grotesque and detailed descriptions of death and perverted sexual behavior. However, I can imagine that a few of you will go back home today feeling somewhat disturbed. However, if you are feeling disturbed, imagine how it would be like to be my client, Miss Gina Queen, who is now facing the allegations of dealing with the death of a loved one and deflecting baseless allegations that she was behind the murder. Members of the jury, I plead to you to take a walk in her shoes. Baseless allegations, hollow allegations, malicious accusations. Members of the jury, may I remind you that in the criminal conviction of murder, the standard of proof required is beyond reasonable doubt. That basically means that in order for you to convict someone for committing a crime, there mustn't be any hint of doubt in your mind that the person did commit the crime. Has the prosecution been able to prove that? I do not think so. The prosecution has failed to clear up multiple points of doubt and suspicion. They have failed to place my client at the scene of the crime during the deceased's time of death. They could not find any fingerprints on the stool that was supposedly crucial in leading to Mr. Kane's death. The prosecution has also failed to assuringly tell the court what was the supposed motive behind the alleged crime. First, they tell the court it was a crime of passion. My client was trying to extract revenge for the breakup. Then, they come to tell us it was a crime of greed, telling the court that my client was after the deceased's money. And then, it was back to allegations of it was a crime of passion. Members of the jury, what does this tell you about the prosecution? It merely means that they themselves are not sure of the supposed motive behind the crime, or even if the motive even existed. Besides that, the prosecution has been trying to build the case based on shaky evidence. They tried to nail the crime on my client based on the findings of the rope in which my client's fingerprints were found on. Members of the jury, doesn't it make perfect sense to you that my client's fingerprints will be on the rope, since it was in the possession of my client all of the time? Besides that, the prosecution has been bringing in witness of questionable credibility and reliability. First, they brought in the angry and unstable wife, who without much knowledge of her husband's previous life and days in university, was here in court making bold and brazen statements and guarantees about her husband's past and present. Then they brought in the cleaner, who was obviously not in a position to tell what exactly happened in the room next door where she was cleaning, not in a position to know who were in the room, not in a position to know why they were in the room, not even in a position to know whether the voices she heard came from a television set or from a person. And last, certainly not least, the prosecution has failed to address one major fact. The deceased has been obsessed with a dangerous sex game since his days in university. Perhaps finally, fate has caught up to him and claimed his life. My client is just an innocent young lady who's had the love of her life taken away from her. How is it even possible that she could fool someone as mature or supposedly in the right mind as Mr. Kane to hang himself to death? Unless of course, it was Mr. Kane's own intention. It was something he has been indulging in. Members of the jury, I plead to you to cease the injustice that's being done to my client, to put an end in the misery that she is going through. Members of the jury, I plead to you to reach a verdict of non-guilty to my innocent client. Members of the jury, I plead to you to bring justice into this court. And on that note, I rest my case. Thank you, Your Honor.